Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. We have two big events happening simultaneously. That is the Sibos, which is the event put on by Swift. They are in Sydney, Australia, and then there is Money 2020 USA 2018 in Las Vegas. And there is really a ton of information, a ton of press releases, and so much to talk about. But one of the things I have been most curious for, and so have many people who've left me comments in the videos over the past few weeks, is what is happening with Stellar, because Stellar seems to go under the radar so often. So even checking my favorite news aggregator website, Crypto Panic, you put in Stellar IBM and there is just nothing that comes up. Of course, there is a big release today from IBM and Visa with their B2B Connect cross-border payments release, which we'll look at a little bit later in this video. But in terms of what's happening with Stellar, there's nothing. However, there was an interview with Jesse Lund and George Tung. That took place on Monday evening. Here is George and here is Jesse. Mr. Lund is the head of blockchain at IBM. If we take a look at his LinkedIn, we can see that his official title is the head of blockchain solutions financial services. He is a banking guy all the way back with a long career, particularly with Wells Fargo. So he gave a 59-minute interview with George, and I just can't believe this interview has not been covered in more detail. Only about 4,000 people have seen it thus far, and there was a lot of interesting information that came out. So I'm going to put the link to the interview in the comment section, but I want to just go over some of the high points so that you have an idea of what was discussed until you are able to listen to the interview in its entirety, should you want to. So Mr. Lund was in Sydney. He says that he's extremely busy, no time to eat or sleep, he said, quote unquote, but he was asked a lot of great questions. So one of them was, what distinguishes the difference of IBM WorldWire for cross-border payments? And he said that, well, let me first just say that Swift is nothing more than a messaging system. So as Ripple has been saying, it has nothing to do with settlement at all. And the difference for IBM is they are bringing a basic stack of options. So two of which he cited were Corda with the Hyperledger Fabric and Stellar, of course, with Lumens. And there are more coming. So this is their idea of a blockchain protocol platform with a team of networks. And when it's compared to Ripple, he says that, well, you got to give credit where credit is due, because if it wasn't for Ripple, he totally credits them for using the digital asset for settlement. But he says that IBM has a much more open approach, and that along with Lumens, they are going to offer other instruments. So you'll be able to swap these out. It's basically going to be the choice of the bank, and he believes that is the magic behind their offering. So Lumens comes by default. He said that's no brainer, but we are going to have a whole range of digital assets, and that's how they are going to drive their growth with this kind of digital asset registry. And they will support a few right out of the box, but it's really up to the banks, and some of the banks might create their own stablecoins. George asked him if he thought Jed was enjoying this. And I think what he meant by that question was he enjoying the competition? He says, I can't speak for him, but he has a lot of vision. And Jed has an open protocol vision that he wants to be mass adopted. He sees it like the SMTP, and that is, of course, the simple mail technology protocol behind all emails. And that's how he sees Stellar. He thinks that, of course, he said, I don't want to speak for him, but Mr. Lund said that's what he thinks. And he goes on to say that there is plenty of room under the tent. He doesn't think you have to draw a line in the sand, and you shouldn't be in a position to say that this one works and this one doesn't. So he sees that there are multiple solutions out there, and they are more looking at the use case of that asset along with the individual solution and providing that stack of options to all their banks. They have 500, this is IBM. IBM has 500 blockchain projects around the world right now, 400,000 employees in 160 countries, and he doesn't see any collisions. He acknowledges that IBM is the 600-pound gorilla in the room, and there are a lot of smart people in the space, and they are noticing a tremendous amount of great work everywhere in the blockchain space. So he was also asked what digital assets does he own. He says that he doesn't trade, and he really doesn't understand the day trader mentality, but he has some BTC, and he's long on that. He has some Lumens, and he did talk in a past tense that he did hold Ethereum and XRP. He said he was asked, how can Lumens function as a bridge asset settlement tool with its price volatility? And he said, well, if it was a 4-day settlement time, that's one thing, but these execute in a matter of seconds. So you're in and out in 15 to 30 seconds. But there will be some that choose a stable coin. And he was asked, well, so what do you think about stable coins? He says, not all are created equal. Transparency is a big difference, especially for the ones that have backed deposits. He says it's important to really pay attention to that. But he did kind of fantasize that what if the banks were actually the issuer and the custodial management all wrapped in one. He said that the banks would have a new lending model and thought that this made a lot of sense. He was recently in Asia. He didn't say which country, and was speaking to a deputy governor, and that governor said that they are really struggling with crypto. They just don't know, should we ignore it or should we make it illegal? And one of the answers that was given is that, well, they could issue their own or they could add light regulation to the current space. So he made a great point that I really felt he was right on with, and that is if the regulators can stay out of this and not be too heavy-handed, it'll keep from the technology of going underground. Yeah, and I agree, because if you go too heavy-handed, there will be a rise of underground economies, that's for sure. So IBM has deep relationships, he says, with basically all the banks in the world. And at Sibos, he has had no time to eat or sleep because of the number of meetings. The response has been overwhelming. Now, he goes on to clarify that they are taking a cautious exploration. But they do see, however, the trajectory, and they feel that threat from fintech. So he looks at it that the banks are in two camps. There's the believers and there's the non-believers, and there is almost no middle. But no doubt, he says, because this is an absolutely revolutionary change for them. So what projects are in the works? He gave two insights. One is, he said, just go and search on the Central Bank of Sweden. They're having their 350th anniversary. And if you search with e-kroner, you can find something very interesting. So I did see that. And sure enough, it's just right there. The e-krona is because of the banknotes and coins that are declining in society, they are starting a project that's aimed at examining whether the krona needs to be issued. The krona is the Swedish digital native currency, needs to be issued in an electronic form called an e-krona. No decision has been made yet on issuing an e-krona or on what technical solution will be used. So it looks like they are going to be in this project and will make it possibly available to the general public, but this is expected to be finalized in late 2019. So they are not officially commercially available yet, but when they make the World Wire commercially available, they're going to have a wide range of digital assets, and the stable coins will be in different currencies. So if I was to say, if one comment sums up the whole interview, that is probably quite key. So they're going to turn up the heat on the central banks soon. All right. And he did mention that there was going to be a big announcement with Visa. Visa is a big customer of IBM, and that did break just a few hours ago. And that is the Visa partners with IBM for the B2B Connect blockchain payments. So he was afraid to give too much information, but yeah, he basically said, stay tuned. That was his wording. He didn't want to steal their thunder, but they are going to support them. So since 2016, Visa has been working on its distributed ledger platform for business payments called the Visa B2B Connect, and it plans to launch the system next year. Visa has just announced a new partnership with IBM to integrate the Hyperledger fabric. And you need to understand that the blockchain from the firm Chain was recently acquired by Stellar. They formed a new company called Interstellar. So that really does bring Stellar into having a very close relationship with IBM. Okay, everybody, I just wanted to be sure that this information came to surface because, like I said, that interview has been very much under the radar. Okay, I'm going to go to a quick fluff story. So if you want to stick around for a little Japanese culture, here you go. Japan is, let me just take you to this. Japan has a shop. It's a chain, actually, in Tokyo. It serves tempura don, which is tempura served on a bowl of warm rice. Very yummy. I haven't had lunch. I seem to go to the food stores when I'm hungry. And this tempura shop has gone cashless. So it is going to be the step.
The tempura shop in Tokyo is going cashless.
I think it goes to say that this is going to be the trend. So you choose your language on a tablet, and they actually did this for the purpose of getting ready for the 2020 Olympics. You then place your order, and you use electronic money or a card, but they do not take cash for payment. So I think we're going to see more and more of this. All right, and if you wonder, what is TEM? Well, here is that chain. You can see they're concentrated pretty much in the central part of Tokyo. Don it refers to a big bowl, and that big bowl typically has, sometimes you have noodles at the bottom, but typically rice. And there are three major styles of don. There is kaisen don, which is your sashimi. This is so yummy. This is actually egg, tamago. This is your ikura, which is your roe, fish eggs. And then this looks like, what does this look like? This looks like gosh, what does that look like? It might be Thai. I think it's Thai. This is definitely maguro, which is tuna. This one is salmon, and this one is taco, which is octopus. Yummy! I can't do this. I am so hungry. And then there's oyakodon, and that is a chicken and egg warm on top of the rice. And then this is tendon, and it's tempura on top of that rice. And that shop that's all around Tokyo that's gone cashless is serving this style of food. Okay, everybody, that's all I have for this moment. There is just so much, though, coming out of those two events. I will bring you more news that is important, and I look forward to doing that. Okay, thank you. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.